This is Urban Armor Gear's full MagSafe case lineup. I've spent over $400 on all these cases, and there's only one or two that are actually worth getting. Most of these cases are not good, despite the fact that Urban Armor Gear put them at a premium price point. Why are you standing? In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you which case is actually the best out of this grouping by going over the pros and cons for the Civilian, the updated Lucent, the Pathfinder, the Premium Monarch Pro, the Essential Armor Plyo Dot, and the Kevlar-backed Metropolis. The Lucent is part of Urban Armor Gear's U collection, which is a collection of less aggressive looking cases. The Lucent has been upgraded over the last couple of years from being a terrible TPU cover to something that's actually awesome. The standout feature for me is the finish on this case. It's very nice. It looks like it would handle like a wet bar of soap, but it doesn't. I like the overall appearance of the case as the frosted look just looks great. The MagSafe area has a neat patch over it, which sets it apart from all the other thin cases from my perspective. I do have a couple issues with the case as the edges are very shallow. Great for screen access, but terrible for screen protection. In fact, this case edge is supposed to protect your iPhone from 16-foot drops.
16-foot drop protection, my ass.
But here's a bummer. Do you know where the buttons are on this case? Can you see them? The button areas on this case sit flush with the case, so it's going to take a bit longer to find them. Good thing it feels nice. The Dot is another case that is part of Urban Armor Gear's U collection. Now, if you're looking for an alternative to the Apple silicone case, consider getting a Dot. It's incredibly grippy as the silicone finish is very aggressive. So aggressive to the point it's going to become a hair and pocket lint magnet. From my perspective, the oversized corners would improve the drop protection on the product, though Urban Armor Gear doesn't think so, as the thin corners of the Lucent and the big corners of the Dot offer the same amount of drop protection. The oversized corners coupled with the finish on the case is a bonus when it comes to handling. Now, the buttons on the case also sit flush with the case edge, so the best way to determine where the buttons are is to actually just pull on the case edge. The button areas are extremely flappy and over time will become a repository of dust and debris. Honestly, the case just fits way too loose for my liking, so certain drops will not end well for your iPhone. On to one of the more tactical looking cases, the Pathfinder. Do you know the Pathfinder was one of my favorite cases when I first started reviewing iPhone accessories like 10 years ago? But this iteration is laughable. Now, looseness is going to be a theme in this video because my iPhone barely stays in this case. Now, the Pathfinder does look pretty cool and it handles decently despite the fact that the finish itself is incredibly slick, but there's just so many bumps and notches on this case that it kind of mitigates that slickness. The case has large corners which will help with corner drops, but loose corners which will not help with face first drops. Now, unlike the first two cases in this video, you can actually get to the buttons easily. For screen access, the edges are actually very noticeable, so your fingers are going to feel like they're slamming into a barricade every single time you swipe left or right. Final gut punch for this product is the build quality. The normal Pathfinder has a polycarbonate back that wraps around the device, makes the iPhone feel incredibly protected. With the MagSafe version, it's a loose TPU bumper, which is why it makes this product laughable. Why? Next up is the Metropolis. Honestly, the back of the case is one of the best feeling things for the iPhone. The Kevlar material they use on the back is just such a nice break from the plastic feel of 99% of all the other cases out there. I really wish there was a case that had this finish around the entire thing, because that would be primo. You guys know of any brands that do that? The Metropolis case is thinner when compared to the Pathfinder or Monarch, but still maintains the oversized corners for drop protection. Buttons on this case are easily accessible, but the finish on the case edge isn't as grippy as the finish on the Lucent or the Essential Armor, which is kind of a shame. The finish on this case seems to show wear and tear a little quicker than other products in this video. Now, here's the weird thing with this Metropolis case. When it comes to MagSafe accessories products like the Apple leather wallet come off quite easily. Basically anything with a smooth finish is going to come off quite easily, but the products with a rubber finish on the back, like the Pop Grip or one on the Spigen car mount, stays on way better, which was kind of odd. This is a $60 product. Is it worth $60? No. Onto the Urban Guard Civilian. I wonder if they call it the Civilian because it doesn't look as tactical. This is the slimmest feeling case in this video. Yes, it feels thin. It's actually thinner than a Lucent because of the chamfered edge, which does two things. The first is that it makes it easier to pick up your iPhone. The second thing is that it helps with the handling of the iPhone because without it, this thing handles like a wet bar of soap. Civilian has a rubberized top and bottom, which prevents the case from sliding face down, and the case edges during screen usage aren't as noticeable as some of the other bulkier cases. Now, I do appreciate the Civilian because there's not a lot of bumps and humps like you'd find on the Pathfinder. So your hands and your fingers just don't feel as distracted. I know, I'm weird. The back of the case is incredibly smooth, but the mild matte finish does actually help with MagSafe accessories. The last thing that I'll mention about the case is that the cutouts feel incredibly sharp. If you rest your phone on your pinky when you use it, you definitely will feel the edge of the cutouts at the bottom. Now, Urban Armor Gear claims that this case has 20-foot drop protection, which is kind of crazy, but relatively they wouldn't be lying. This case is actually a hair wider than the Pathfinder. And unlike the Pathfinder, the width of the case is consistent, so it does make more sense why this would be tougher than the Pathfinder. Seriously, this case is more protective than this case. It doesn't look like it, but it is. Friendly reminder, if you're planning on getting a case, use my links. I'm a reviewer, not an influencer. Nobody pays me to make these videos. I just do it because that's my job. Shall we keep going, Monty? On to the Urban Armored Gear Plyo, and it's not a bad case, not great. In fact, it's one of the only cases that I have in my collection that features an angled edge. And here's the thing, I like the angled edge. Why? Because it makes the iPhone feel different. And I'm just really into anything that just makes you feel nowadays. The TPU-only edges will keep your iPhone from sliding around. The Urban Armored Gear Plyo is one of the very few cases that sits completely flat on the back, which is useful if you're trying to level something. The case has a clear polycarbonate back that shows off the color of your iPhone, but is quite prone to fingerprinting, so don't use this case with a darker iPhone. Because the case sits completely flat, the clearance on the back of the case, the polycarbonate won't scratch as easily as other clear cases. Now, the Plyo also suffers from the loose case syndrome. So between the looseness and the tackiness, it kind of sticks to your iPhone every single time you give it a squeeze. It makes the sticky sound. Remember Yoo-Hoo sticks? The glue sticks? Yeah, it kind of feels like that if you get it on your fingers. It's just like that. Honestly, the Essential Armor is one of the best cases that Urban Armored Gear has for the iPhone 14s. The texture of the case combined with the matte finish just makes this case just a joy to use. The chamfered edges makes the iPhone feel thinner than it actually is, and the low edges allow for amazing screen access. Now, the iPhone isn't completely compromised with low edges because the corners are very large. Those are the main reasons why the Essential Armor is in my top 10 list for clear iPhone cases. The downside of this case is, well, again, looseness. Seriously, I've never talked about looseness so much in my life, except for in this video, when describing Urban Armored Gear cases. Looseness. The only other issue I have are the buttons. They're a little too subtle for me and take a bit of getting used to. You can feel them out, but they're kind of not there. Now, if you've been with the channel long enough, you know that this case used to be in the top 10. It hasn't been for the last couple of years, and you want to know why? The case is just so damn loose. Seriously, Urban Armored Gear. The Monarch Pro is Urban Armored Gear's premium case. The base model is $80 and the Kevlar version is $100, which means they have to be good, right? No. The Urban Armored Gear Monarch Pro is a dumpster fire of a product. Now, like the Pathfinder, I think the case does look cool. There is leather on this case, but it only exists in this strip around the MagSafe area. It's borderline not even a visual accent with the dark case. You want to know what the best thing about this piece of leather is? Urban Armored Gear says it's part of the 5-layer protection it offers your iPhone. That's literally saying that me wearing a thong is going to provide warmth for me during a blizzard. The case handles well as there's a ton of texture on the case, and the edge has this honeycomb grip thing that my fingers absolutely love. The super thin and loose edges also minimize the bulk of the case, which helps with handling, but the edges on the Monarch are less than half the thickness of the edges on the Pathfinder, but somehow this case provides 7 more feet of drop protection. How? The back of the case is raised evenly so the iPhone sits completely flat on its back, so that's handy for people who use the Level app. The coup de grace for this product is the fact that most of my MagSafe accessories are terrible to use with the Monarch. Why? Because the MagSafe area doesn't sit flush with the rest of the case. Parts of the case are raised higher than the MagSafe area. So all your MagSafe stuff sits at an angle. It doesn't fully sit flush with the magnets. Huh? Like, seriously? Right? So that's all I got for this video. If you like this format of doing a full case lineup review, let me know in the comment section, because I'll do them more often. First time watching one of my videos, hit the subscribe button. What else can our viewers do? They can have a great day. Thanks for watching.